All right, Chris, figured we'd talk Brave. Been a big fan for years. Been using the browser. My joke's always, you guys used to fund me for advertising. Now you guys are probably one of the best, I'd say Web3 forward advertising networks in the business, frankly. I think best performance. But obviously, you work on the reward side. I think one of the big things most people probably now know is that from an input-output standpoint, we've been working with you guys on both ad tech, but also product integration. So the team shipped Cardano support, Cardano native asset support, signature and signing. So ADA community and Cardano community can now fully take advantage of Brave browser. Obviously, you guys just hit big milestone of 100 million users. What are you most excited about?
Well, I'm excited to see, first of all, the fact that crypto is becoming so much more ubiquitous. It's getting integrated everywhere. And because we are positioned as a browser and we have a natively integrated crypto wallet, it's not an extension, we can really capitalize on this growth of crypto, and it's becoming super mainstream. I started crypto in 2013, so I've been here for a while, and the problem has always been skepticism from whether that's traditional finance or from ordinary people. But over time, you're starting to see crypto get more and more accepted, whether that's at the regulatory level or even at like the everyday investment or trading level, and then now in everyday life kind of level. And what I'm most excited about is the fact that, as a browser, we're just so well positioned to capitalize on this change of this transformation in the web, to Web3. So that's what I'm most excited about. I mean, honestly, the world is our oyster, and we hit 100 million users, as you mentioned. So, I mean, there's no limit.
No, and it's crazy. I mean, the performance of the ad network has always been one of the best. Like, half the time when I tell people what the stats actually are and what performance drivers are while having privacy, it's actually mind-blowing. For me, when I think about how do we actually drive better engagement, I think, if I remember correctly, of your 100 million, it's roughly 12% of the audience is actually crypto native. So the ability to expand more people into crypto that might not have ever touched crypto, whether it's BAT or ADA or Solana or Ethereum or hopefully soon Night, which is one of the products that we're launching here with Midnight. Really thinking about where's the future going, and how do you guys are at the heart of cross-chain collaboration effectively. Like, everybody's advertising in you, whether it's Solana and Solana Wallet. You guys were one of the first to do integrations there. When I was with Near Foundation, we focused on how do we actually drive more utility with Brave. You guys drove a shit ton of performance to events and to actions, and there are a number of things that we wanted to do. But when I think about where the future is going, the fact that you have such an addressable market, like, how do you think we actually convert people that have never touched? How do we preach to them in the right way?
Yeah. So I'll first talk about just the ad network. I know so many crypto companies had a hard time trying to advertise on the traditional ad networks. In fact, I think some of them have policies. I don't know if they're still standing policies, but that just prohibited crypto ads completely, right? And we've always, been very open to crypto advertisers, of course, because our demographic is so crypto native. So I feel like that's always been such a strong point of Brave, and you guys have benefited from it. But the big barrier has always been kind of the UX.
Yep.
And the question is, how do you get people using Web3? And right now, there are all these extensions. They're really great. Whether it's like MetaMask or Phantom, all these wallet extensions. But at the end of the day, they're still extensions, right? And that's the top of funnel move is they need to go to the extension store, they need to install it, they need to wait for it to load and so on. It's a huge barrier to entry. So when it's naturally built into the browser, you just overcome all of that friction, right? So now we have 100 million users who don't face that friction at all. And because we're not limited by extension APIs, we can seamlessly integrate Web3 experiences into the overall browsing experience. I don't think any other wallet that's built as an extension can do that. So we can do things that are just incredible, where when a user goes to a Web3 website or a dApp, etc., we can do things that extensions can. It's not just, we're going to pop up this little window. It could be integrated in a much deeper, more seamless way. So I think that's, we're really well positioned for that.
And I mean, to that point, you also have one of the probably oldest ERC20 use cases with basic attention token. Like, people sometimes forget about that, or maybe they pay attention to it for price action. But at the same time, the idea of being rewarded for your attention is actually a very simple thing. I think that's one of the best things Brave ever did was how do you actually provide utility while you're actually getting people into crypto by giving them reward just for their attention.
And and on that point, I think different kinds of earning opportunities are very important to people, because how do you actually earn crypto? I mean, unless you're a miner, almost nobody is a miner, right? You just have to buy it. You have to spend fiat. So it's more like an investment. But how do you actually just earn it?
And I think that's an important part. Like, most people are looking at it as an investment, right? And they actually forget that the time spent places is actually valuable. The idea that, hey, I can be rewarded for my time is one of the most simple, explicitly direct use cases for people. So even think about how do you actually drive change in advertising networks? How do you try changes with brand engagement? How do you actually incentivize people differently? You guys were on the forefront of that out the gate. I mean, for us, actually, part of when input output was designing and building the Glacier Drop with Midnight. Part of why we actually put Brave in, like the addressable audience, arguably a small, market cap is lower, all that stuff. But when you start to look at the use case, the idea of privacy being at the center of everything to unlock Bitcoin to the middle layer, whether it's Cardano or Ethereum or Solana or AVAX, the notion that privacy is going to be core to society, particularly as we move to AI meets Web3, it's going to be fascinating. The idea that actually even agents should potentially be rewarded with BAT, or be able to do BAT transactions based on behaviors has got to be something you guys are looking at.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, with the rise of AI and with agents, you can start thinking of them as also having attention in a certain way, right? So it's not just the human agents, but also non-human agents or AIs as well. And one thing I wanted to mention about the privacy angle is that a lot of these other, people have tried to create all these tokens in order to reward people for their data, right? But we've never been about that. We're rewarding you for attention without having to take your data. And I feel like that's such a huge difference and a huge distinguisher that people haven't emphasized enough, which is that we're not paying you tokens for collecting your data. It's not in exchange for your data. At no point do we ever collect your data. But yet you can still be rewarded for your attention. And that's because we do any ad matching on your device locally, client side. And so we're able to get, matched ads without all the data collection. So why do you need to give up your data in the first place?
I mean, even for that, I always think about how do you actually get BAT rewards into things like the trade desk, or how do you actually get things in traditional even ad exchanges? Like, how do you actually help people understand that they should be rewarded for these things? Like, we're not talking that it has to be a ton of money. I think the split is, what, like 70-30 or something that you guys do? The idea that ad revenue is a driver for all these businesses, whether you're Facebook or any Google product, frankly, like, you guys are on the cusp of going, no, you have to do it. And with all those other big players coming in now, how do you think that impacts actually your world, knowing, you guys started as a Chromium-based browser and all of that? It's not, being in a browser business isn't a new thing, but the idea that, hey, competition's coming, the big players are now kind of open to crypto with regulation changing. Do you think that's good or bad for BAT?
I think it's amazing for BAT because we've been positioned so early. We own so much of the mind share in this space that when big players start getting interested, it just kind of reinforces the fact that we were ahead of the curve, and that it kind of reinforces the value proposition behind BAT and behind Brave. So it's always good to look like you're ahead of the curve, and when the big players start coming in, people start to realize, wow, they really were prescient. They were able to see things before everyone else did, before these massive trillion-dollar companies at this point, before they even saw it, Brave was already on that train. So it's honestly just been really good for us, and I think it's going to continue to just be tailwinds for us.
Well, and when you think about rewards, obviously, like, first touch for anybody is a wallet. You guys have native integration into browser. I think that's one of the things that we looked at most is, hey, how do we actually get browser participation of that, call it 12% audience, so 12 million rough people that are crypto native. How do you get more people playing with wallets? How do you get people collecting more rewards? Because it's not like you just throw it at everybody. You've got to opt in. You've got to have a wallet. Like, what do you think the barrier to remove to get that, 88 million more people in? What do you think that barrier is? What do you think is the killer app for that?
So I think the whole wallet space is really just targeted towards traders and investors. So even when you look at all of the major wallets and even Brave Wallet right now, there are all these tools that are only really interesting for traders. So like whether that's swaps or like bridging, all that stuff. Like if you're an ordinary person and you're not really looking to trade or to invest, what do these features like mean to you?
For you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think because we're natively integrated, we can kind of insert Web3 aspects or Web3 elements into the everyday browsing experience that are kind of removed from this kind of trading or investing angle. So I can see Brave Wallet, for example, just becoming more like an actual everyday wallet. I mean, the word wallet that crypto natives typically understand is, like I said, like a tool for investing or something like that. But it should be more like Apple Wallet or something that's just really integrated.
And you
into
do see things like the Gemini rewards and all those types of things. So rewards is a core competency that people already have a natural behavior for. Actually, should be one of those things that's driving, I'd say, in-app and browser
exactly.
adoption.
So that should be the dimension that's getting emphasized more once you're starting to grow to the masses. And what's funny is that so much we're here at Token 2049 and a lot of the conversation is about how crypto is maturing and they expect blockchain and crypto technology to kind of be the backbone of finance. And then you hear a lot about how the infrastructure is going to be blockchain, but end users are not necessarily going to know. But if that's the case, we also need to think from a UX perspective that the way that we present this stuff to users is not going to be trading or investment focused, right?
Well, the core user base is going to shift.
Exactly.
And I think one of the crazy parts is most people don't realize, everyone talks about scams and you can do drug dealing and all these things and stuff, the shit that nobody wants to hear anymore. But at the end of the day, the core of that's actually going to be, no, most of this stuff's very open and transparent.
Yes.
There's a ton of posts going out right now around the fact that, hey, I can see everything and anything happening in somebody's wallet. Do you want your employer knowing what you do on the weekends, what games you're playing, all that kind of stuff? Do you care? Should you care? But they shouldn't have the right to know. So a lot of what Input-Output's been looking at is how do you actually unlock Bitcoin with that middle layer, whether, again, that's Ethereum, Cardano, Solana, like, doesn't matter, but you have to have privacy at the core.
Yes,
so you guys are also positioned at the only way to actually go forward is with the privacy layer.
Exactly.
But you should be rewarded, and to your point, you don't have to capture all that data. So in a way, people don't know this, but when we oftentimes do like buses for activations, the reason we're doing them is because there's hardware on board. It scrapes your IMEI. I can take your device ID, throw that in the trade desk, and guess what? I chase you in perpetuity knowing you were at a crypto event, so the likelihood of you owning crypto, fairly high.
Yeah.
Now I can actually potentially tie that to your wallet. The fact that I can tie your wallet and your on-chain activity to ad networks is kind of insane. It's no different than the Facebooks of the world mining. The worst part is it's all open. It's all transparent.
Exactly. Yeah. The doxing has always been a worry. So I think privacy coins and privacy technology on blockchain, whether that's the various.
I was gonna say you can
ZKP.
say Zcash. We all saw prices yesterday. Nothing to say is financial advice, but it's wild. But to think privacy really is the big narrative right now, and you guys are at the heart of that too.
Yeah, and I think one of the most insightful things I heard about privacy coins in general is that there's a sense in which there's a distinction between fungible tokens and non-fungible tokens, but there's a sense in which when your fungible tokens, so typical cryptocurrencies, are not private, are they actually fungible? And the reason is that if you come to own some fungible token that has a shady history or has gone through some path that some money laundering path or something like that, your fungible tokens are not worth as much as another fungible token, which is literally a contradiction in terms, right? So privacy is actually a necessary condition on maintaining or sustaining the notion of fungibility. So I think that's huge for the industry.
That's interesting. I mean, at the end of the day, I think the core of this is privacy matters a shit ton. I'll even say that's the line that Zcash uses. I love it. It's simple. The notion for us is we're actually trying to break, pun intended, break free on the midnight side. Teams looking at how do you actually break the tribalism and go, no, actually fundamental is a fundamental need, or privacy is a fundamental need for everybody. The notion is almost no layer ones are actually private. It was a thing of decentralization, open transparency, all those things, and then you go, Yeah, but do I want anyone seeing every single transaction I made in
Exactly.
my bank account? Like, whoops.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I think we've really nailed a lot of stuff here around the focus of privacy, the idea of attention being rewarded, the fact that, frankly, ad networks need to change their model, and you guys are ahead of all these things. If there's one thing you wanted people to do from a rewards perspective, what would it be?
From a rewards perspective, give me more
Like
context on what you're thinking.
You got 100 million eyeballs every month.
Yeah.
You've only got, 4 million-ish wallets, call it 12 million addressable audience. So you've got can almost 3x your audience size within wallet alone. Like, how do you get more people engaged in Brave? How do you get people engaged with rewards?
Yeah.
How do you get, therefore, more people into crypto, knowing you
Yes.
have massive audience?
So one idea is that, you do all of your e-commerce shopping through, let's say your browser. So, when I go on Amazon, I buy things, through my browser. You should get, points back for that, or you can get crypto back for that. So I think if we can design the rewards system to be integrated with, users' everyday e-commerce usage, I think that is going to be huge, because it doesn't have to be something that's kind of separated from the rest of their kind of e-commerce life or money back life. We can kind of build in rewards into the everyday shopping experience.
How long do you think until that happens?
Honestly, I think maybe within the next 2 years.
Wild. Awesome. Well, this has been fun, Chris. I'm a huge Brave fan, so full disclosure. Other than that, I really love the team. Glad that we're working together, and can't wait to see how we can add more rewards. And hopefully, bat holders, we'd love to see them out claiming midnight. But it's amazing to see the traction that Brave as a company and partner has actually been able to drive from the ad value perspective, but also from the bat community really coming out and being super interested.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Chris.
Awesome. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.